Alright, audio's live. Ooh. Do you want to know why I'm in such a good, bubbly mood right now?
Why is that good, sir?
Because Sounders won their second playoff game.
Woo.
Ooh, means they're going to the conference finals.
Did they have fans in attendance?
Nah. Just me in spirit.
There you go. You have one of those cardboard cutouts that a lot of leagues have been doing.
I wish. I'd buy one. That'd be the most useless $200 I'd spend.
I mean, it makes sense for baseball, because if there's a foul ball and then it hits your cardboard cutout, then they mail you the ball. But like everything else,
do they really?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like I know the Oakland A's specifically were the first team that I saw do it, where you could pay to have your cardboard cutout sitting in the stands, and then if a foul ball or even a home run, if any ball hit your cardboard cutout, they would mail it to you, the actual ball.
That's sick.
Yeah, so there's some value there. There's inherently some value to that, but MLS, I don't know how many times they're drilling balls up into the stands.
Well, in this game, not very often. Saved it. I almost forgot to add your event photo.
It's all good.
Oh.
Find any good cyber deals?
No.
Hunt for anything specific? No, nothing.
No, zero, nada.
I bought underpants. That was my big cyber.
I did get socks. Some long socks for work.
That's how you know you're a grown up.
I got, I did get excited. I got the socks, and I legitimately thought they were going to change my life.
Did they though?
Yeah, I wore them today. They're nice.
Nice. But it's good when you get a product and it actually lives up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's just socks. As long as they go over my foot and keep it warm. I'm examining it. I'm like, the fiber. No, they're just socks.
Man, this piece of cloth is going to soak up so much liquid so it doesn't hit my toes.
I've had surprisingly good luck of not getting my socks wet at work. And I've stepped in some pretty massive puddles. Like, massive puddles. Like, my pant leg got wet because it was just like, bloop. I was like on this dirt road. I stepped out of the van and I just sunk. And it scared the butts out of me. I was terrified. My life wasn't the same. Did you watch the fights?
I watched.
I know you saw the meme. I know you saw the meme.
I saw the Hug Fest 2020. How nice of these former professional pugilists to try and bring us together as a humanitarian.
Roy Jones Jr. took a couple of shots to the body. I was like, you could see it. Like, Mike Tyson's like all excited. He's like, yeah, it was a great fight. And Roy Jones is like, I'm going home. Like, it's a rough day. All right, it is that time of night. Woo-wee. Let's get into it. Let's dim this music. It is that time of week, episode 10 already. This is 10 straight weeks of sweet, sweet, sugary goodness. I am one of your hosts of the LFTG Podcast. I am Refresh. Sitting next to me is the other host of the LFTG podcast. Tell the people about
Mohawk
yourself.
Mike,
Oh,
and
there.
I am on. I am. This is my still consecutive day after Thanksgiving of eating leftovers. There was very much turkey aplenty, but enjoying it. 'Tis the season. Somebody's over there enjoying his most recent MLS
Victory. It's my victory cup.
choice, team of
Winner,
choice.
win or lose. If they lost tonight, I was gonna put down the hat and put on another hat. But
Did you pat the hat for luck? I know that's one of your
yeah,
one of your things.
I didn't have a beer though. No beer. So they barely won. I was like screaming in my van. I'm like, I probably look like a crazy person. I guarantee somebody heard me. Guarantee. All right, well, let's hop into this first topic. As you guys know, if you do not know, a couple weeks ago, a Call of Duty professional player passed away, Pharaoh Ferocities, or F3. It was really cool. The Florida Mutineers hosted a memorial event, so I just kind of wanted to go through and share the placings from that event. Just share the top 8. The top 8 was pretty interesting, actually. We're going to start from the bottom. 7 and 8, you have Crew slash Phase. You have Syllabants, Rex, Jimbo, and Phantoms. The other 8th place was Optic Chicago with Scump, Emboy, Formal, and Dashy. So they got upset super early in the tournament. 5th through 6th was Resteros, Parasites team of Blaze, Decimate, and Neptune. That's actually a team I'm going to be looking forward to watching the Challengers League here coming up pretty soon, I think next week. Another 5th place team was Dallas Empire, your reigning champs from last year. Shotzi, Hook, Illy, and Krim. 4th was Big Dogs, Prolute, Optimum, Draza, which played on LAG last year, and Davipede. 3rd place, top 3 very fitting, would be Florida Mutineers with Havoc Skies, Awakening, and Select. West R, which was Paul, Zapdos, Venom, and Gravity, took 2nd. Another amateur team that I would be super excited to see. And 1st place was kind of expected, was Atlantic Phase, BZ, Simp, Celium, and Arcides. Wild team. But it's good. I'm glad to see that an event was hosted in the name of Pharaoh. I feel like that is a very fitting way to commemorate someone that's given so much to the scene, to give back to the players that help support that player. You know, it was a bittersweet event. It was a great event to watch, but the whole time you were just so sad to see him not on the Florida Mutineer squad. But overall, great content. And still rest in peace, Pharaoh. But we're going to move into our next Call of Duty topic. And it's now a reoccurring topic every week. And it is what is going on with the Paris Legion. Paris Legion still hasn't made any tweets. However, a player by the name of Kismet has. I'll go ahead and pull up the tweet on my phone so I can read them to you. Kismet said on Twitter, "Look, Paris didn't sign me and told me to wait because they wanted to try and get the league to grant them access to play and compete from France and have a French host for matches. LMAO." Kismet then followed up and said, "They're chalked." And then immediately said, this is all Twitch chat, "And I know the team hit me up to come back and I said no." So it looks like Kismet has actually gotten an offer from Paris, but Kismet has said no because it looks like Paris has gone through some complications with the league, wanting to compete from Paris. And the thing I do understand is I know Paris right now has some laws where you cannot travel, and I know the New York team is having issues with one of their players coming over to the States before the season starts, and that is why they're scrimming with another player right now. So I think there's some back end stuff going on here, but I think it's interesting that they're not signing players to their team. And I know it's just a mess. Paris, what are you doing? How do you pay $25 million for a league spot? Just not tweet. And just wait.
Yeah, of all the issues that they're facing right now due to the pandemic, social media engagement is not one of them. I don't understand.
It should be your best. It should be your best tool. It should be your number one tool to potentially make your money back. I just do not understand. I do not understand. What do you do if you're Paris? I mean, their reveal better be the biggest reveal in esports history. It better be something crazy. It better just blow my mind.
Yeah. One thing is for certain, they are not selling any hoodies right now.
They are not
That's not
selling
even
hoodies.
part of their aim or their goal right now.
But you have some news about a certain game.
Yeah, this one's interesting because we talked about it a few weeks ago, specifically Battle Royales overall. But there is a company that I am friends with one of the co-founders with, and I followed them on Twitter, and I saw them send out this tweet. And it's one of those things that they're a metrics company. So their whole goal is they focus on actual metrics of like the player base, viewership, sponsorships and things like that. And so they posted out this tweet, and it shows the amount of the player base for PUBG for PC. Now, I'm sure that the majority of these stats actually came from like Steam or, other possible sources. But if you look at this graphic, PUBG at one point last year had 1 million players actively all online playing at the same time. Those numbers have steadily fallen and fallen. Now, part of that obviously is the market share with Fortnite and Warzone and other battle royales that have come out since then. But this is really interesting to see because not only has PUBG had a very active esports scene that they built themselves, not so much active anymore, but now with PUBG Mobile getting more of the rub, especially from the developers, we talked about it, their developments in India and other foreign countries, the growth for the mobile game might by end of quarter one 2021 actually pass the PC player base.
This is actually not surprising to me at all. I do feel like PUBG kind of had a struggling development cycle after release. I feel like they took a long time for updates to come out, and I feel like there was a lot of frustration naturally with a game like that, and I feel like by the time Fortnite came out, then you had the surprise release of Apex, and then you have Warzone, and Fortnite really set the standard of updating your game almost every week, it seems like, putting new things, fixing your game. So I can see 100% the reason why people would lose interest in PUBG. And obviously them not holding a successful esport probably can contribute to that as well because they're not pumping out content. Because that's one thing that an esports scene does do for a game like this, or your community in general, is when you create influencer tournaments or when you create like real competitive tournaments, you're now creating content, something for people to watch, and it's a good marketing tool. And right now, I just don't feel like PUBG has good marketing tools for their PC platform.
For sure. I just want to real quick to wrap up the segment. I just want to talk about the name of that organization as well. I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's Metaactics. So if you guys want to follow them on Twitter, it's METACIX, and it's Metaactics Team on Twitter. So I'll post a link. I'll probably be sending out a lot more retweets on them as well because they have a lot of other games that they're following and kind of scenes. And it's kind of interesting to see, this is kind of becoming more of a business mindset as well. As like a lot more companies want these analytics and they want to be able to see tangibly, okay, is this something that we should invest in? Is this, as a player, is this something I should still continue on? So
well, and if it's a graph that's going up, you can use it as a marketing tool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I should tell them to, if for a personal favor, if they could do a new graph that shows all of the tweets, the timeline that Paris Call of Duty League has tweeted out. It's just
here's the bottom. Right, bottom.
0, 0, 0.
It would be like this because they never really tweeted that much, and then it would just be here for a month, for a whole month. I think it's literally been a month. since they've tweeted.
Mm.
All right, let's get into the next one.
Jumping on to the next one. This one kind of it was I thought it was big news when it came out, but it seems like it's kind of been poo-pooed, not necessarily by a lot of the community. But there is a group of students at the University of Texas that have been developing their own AI-focused anti-cheat software. Now, specifically, this is I feel is big news because AI obviously seems like that's more of the future going forward instead of just like traditional like algorithms or like specifically talking like Valve's anti-cheat system, referred to as VAC. The reason I think this is really interesting is because we're in this time period right now where online gaming, online tournaments are more popular than they've ever been before. Now, obviously, the pandemic has helped with that, but part of the thing with that too is now with like bigger prize pots and more events, anti-cheat software, people cheating from home, not actually competing in person, it's going to be a lot harder to catch. And this comes actually off the heels of a CS:GO player being VAC banned this previous week. That was Crims. Now, Crims has gone to Twitter and he's tried to provide all this evidence. And he's like, look, it wasn't like complaints from community members.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything that was like actively cheating in the game. I don't have any like weird software or scripts running. Like this was just a mistakes on Steam's end, and they'll correct it and everything is fine. But the community is taking this as a chance to jump down his throat and be like, oh, we knew you've been cheating for so long, and that's the only reason you're a pro player. But now we're trying to see, even I saw earlier, I think it was Tasty Steve actually, or no, yeah, it was Tasty Steve was talking about, people cheating in Tekken 7 during online tournaments now. Yep. Fighting games that never had any issues specifically with cheating, but now that all of the major leagues and all of their tournaments are happening online, like cheating is a lot more prevalent. The stakes have never been higher, especially with prize pots.
Yeah.
So any anti-cheat software in my mind is great. Obviously, the way that Riot has handled theirs, especially with Valorant, was not that great. A lot of issues there, especially right out the gate, but we'll see how this develops and where I think there's a huge future and market for this.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a giant market for this because right now with the way the world is, competitive online tournaments is the only way we can play competitively. And I know there was a really, really big worry that with the Call of Duty League, when they did their $4 million tournament online, one thing they did do to combat paying people to do like some IP hits and stuff like that was they actually this is like cheating in a different way. They played all of their games off, like they weren't live, they were all pre-recorded, and they would schedule it with the teams and it would be random. Nobody else but the teams would know. I think that's a good way to prevent it, and also you can kind of review your footage. If something weird does come up, you can be like,
yeah, Rainbow Six has done the same thing there pretty much their entire time for all their online events, even prior to the pandemic happening. So having pre-recorded matches that can be a little more studied and actually reviewed before sending them live, have them play earlier in the week, maybe a Monday or Tuesday, broadcast them on a Friday. There's a lot more time for the production team. And then obviously the commentators as well. They're live. They're commentating over these recorded matches. But it's a lot easier to see if there's in-game issues or pauses or allegations of cheating, whatever it may be.
Did Valve come out and say that there was a mistake made? Or
I haven't officially seen anything yet.
Okay.
It's under review.
It's under review, because if Valve comes out and says there was no cheating involved, then there was no cheating involved. That's the only way you're going to be able to save your player. Because if once someone's accused of cheating, especially in esports, and it goes on Twitter, they're toast. Like whether they cheated or not. I mean, it's happened before in different esports. But yeah, it's crazy with the fighting game community too, because they usually have a bit more competitive integrity.
Yeah.
But we're going to hop into our first segment of the reload. So,
speaking of battle royales.
I didn't hear anything about this until like the last 3 days, and I've been freaking out because now apparently Halo's exploring a battle royale mode, and I swear.
Why is this?
No,
surprising?
listen. This is a bad thing, because I swear if this is the reason why Halo Infinite has been delayed, I'm going to
It's been delayed.
lose my mind. If this is the sole reason if this game's been delayed, I'm going to lose it. And
They're gonna have a really hard time getting that Ninja skin design for day
Oh.
one launch because all those Fortnite players, they want them to come over. Ninja being a former Halo pro, they gotta have
They
that.
gotta have it.
DLC, they gotta have
I
those.
don't have an issue with Halo having a battle royale. I think Halo could be a very interesting world to have a battle royale on. I think there's a lot of interesting things that could happen in a battle royale in Halo. The weapons, the vehicles, it actually makes a lot of sense. Your shields, just how everything is more. I think you drop in as an ODST, you find shields. You start off with a Magnum, and then you just pick up weapons. And I think the weapons, see, this would be dope. This would be sick, okay? Like a traditional Halo map, the sniper is at one spot on the map all the time. It's not random loot. It's like a big Halo map, no random loot. You know where to drop. And and if you do fire teams, it could be like this is your fire zone or whatever. You could drop you automatically drop to your fire zone, and then it's just like a big team battle map. I think that would be sick. I don't want to see want to see. My only issue potentially with this is you can see random things happening in a game like Halo where gunfights are never really random. You know what everybody has, you know what weapon everybody has, you know what they start out with. I think this is a new territory that we're discovering in Halo, and Halo fans don't like new things. Even if it's good, Halo fans don't like it.
What's interesting, I was going to actually raise the fact is that first and foremost, when they announced that Halo multiplayer for Halo Infinite was going to be free to play, I already knew. It clicked in my head. I was like, okay, there's going to be some kind of battle royale portion to this. Because that's how they're going to try and drag new players into it. It's very smart. But if they create this battle royale and it starts taking off in some capacity, or if they've already budgeted out for their plan for their Halo battle royale esports, and it starts doing better than the traditional team format, that's going to leave a very bad taste in the mouth of all of these players that have been playing for so long, some of them decades.
Yeah,
they stuck with this game.
I think they'll do it kind of how Call of Duty has done it. I think they'll have like their core game, and that's where your competitive goes, and then what they'll do is they'll have like your influencer tournaments for battle royale, and I think that's a good system. I know the integration for Black Ops Cold War goes into Warzone on the 10th, so I'll be interested to see how they do that with the new game. But I think that's what they should do with this upcoming title. I just really hope that they don't come out and say this is the reason why they've delayed the game. Because if they come out, we delayed the game to give you guys an extra surprise. No, let us play the game, perfect the multiplayer, and then work on your freaking battle royale. Like, I don't know what y'all want from us. I just want to play your game. I want to have a good time. But I do think this is interesting news. I think it does have potential to, if the battle royale's good, it could have a similar effect that it did on Call of Duty, and you could see Halo becoming a legitimate force in the gaming community again. I know this is like a spiritual reboot of Halo.
Yeah.
So I would like to see it, but I would like to see the arena action perfected first, and then them really work on the battle royale. Because the best battle royale games haven't always started as battle royales. Look at Fortnite and look at Call of Duty. Those are the two most popular battle royale games that have ever touched this planet, and both of them did not start off as battle royales. So I think starting, if that's the reason why it's delayed, starting this game off as a battle royale could be a mistake. Could be.
Well, they've had 343 themselves have had other issues. They've had game directors. They've had like pinnacle members of staff over the last couple of months that just left. They just flat out like, hey, that's it. We're resigning. We're leaving. Like, no actual, like, we don't know if there's any actual bad blood or anything like that. But it seems like this game has been plagued with a lot of developmental issues. You would think that it would have been a launch title for the new Xbox. And we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, we won't have to wait too long to get new information because the Game Awards are happening on December 10th.
There's no shot they are announcing something at the Game Awards. They had Halo Worlds, they had multiple DreamHack where they had events, they had the E3 event this year, they had the Xbox conference. There's no way we're getting anything more than like, here's a picture of a Spartan, but it's red, and there's a blue one. This is your multiplayer teaser. There's no way.
Interesting. I'd be willing to actually put something up for a bet to say that they are actually.
I have zero faith in their average. I think 343 is amazing. I love their esports. I love their esports section. Okay, this is my hot topic. This is my hot topic for today. 343, as an esports fan, 343 did way more for competitive Halo than what Bungie ever did for competitive Halo. Way more money, way more support in game. They actually provided a production for it. They didn't just like give us the game and then they were like, I guess we'll kind of support it over time. No, they dove head first. They gave us $1 million tournaments every year until we complained and wanted to play Halo 3, and then none of us played Halo 3. But so I have faith in them. The only thing I don't like that they've done is they've given us very little information for multiplayer. I think the campaign gameplay looked fine. Especially when they announced that it was pretty much a free game, I was like, okay, sweet. It looks good for a free game. Like, I want to play it. Like, but whatever. I have faith. I'll bet $1. We'll bet $1. We'll bet $1 on it.
Yeah, virtual, but we're gonna bet. How about this? I'm gonna bet you a $2 bill.
I don't have a $2 bill.
That's the whole point. The reason you bet a $2 bill is so that way the loser of the bet has to go to the bank and actually get a $2 bill.
Okay, $2 bill. All right, we'll bet a $2 bill.
Virtual handshake.
$2 bill. Okay, let's go ahead and move into this next topic that I'm very, very sensitive about, and I might start yelling. I saw a graphic today, and it kind of upset me because we have taken a pretty. Here's what the Call of Duty community does, okay? Let's start off with this. We love to take the game, and we love just to find things and just, not use them. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, cat. No, cat. You're ruining the podcast. Get your foot. Oh, no, kitty cat. Oh, come here. Cat's little toes got cut in the wire. Okay, I'm going to pull up this. Do not jump on me again. Do not jump on me again. I'm going to pull up this list right here. So right now we have, this is the Call of Duty Gentleman's Agreements list. So for weapons, we have no tac rifles, which is fine, because tac rifles are OP. You get one bursted by anything, and it makes me sad. But the EU community has just decided no AK-47. And it's not the best assault rifle in the game. It does have the highest damage output, and sometimes it can be a bit ridiculous, but as far as consistently being able to kill with power, it's probably not the best AR in the game. And then perks and wild cards, no gearhead, no perk greed, and lawbreakers allowed, but you can't run a second primary, which I agree with. But I don't agree with the no perk greed, and I'll agree with the no gearhead. I feel like the wild cards are fine. I feel like the extra perks or gearhead's probably the only one that I would be okay with getting rid of, because you don't want people to have 2 grenades and 2 stuns. It's just ridiculous. But perk greed, if people run 2 grenades and 2 stuns, you can run flak jacket and tac mask, and it kind of makes those grenades kind of not really viable. So I feel like some of these GAs, what they do is they take some of the potential strategy out of the game and kind of strip it in little ways to make it more cut and dry. And I understand why that could be super fun to play, but I think from an analytical point of view, it could be possibly more interesting to watch with something like those in the game, because you could see different strategies build up and stuff like that. And then no items, no Molotovs, which I'm fine. But the one that confused me is no smokes in respawn. So no smoke grenades in respawn. And on top of that, you have no thermals. and no lasers. So if you're getting rid of perks, see, here's the thing: if you had perk greed, you could run cold blooded to counteract thermals. Then thermals aren't overpowered. And then if you have cold blooded, you also counter smokes. And then the lasers give the chance for AR players to potentially make a play in some close quarter combat situations where they have to hip fire and they don't have the time to really aim down sights. I mean, this isn't final. And also the last notes here were teams are limited to 3 trophies and 2 smokes for S&D. And EU, I don't know what it is with the EU right now and making up weird rules, but they're only allowing one person to run a sniper on S&D. No more than one sniper per team. So you can't. I feel like okay, as a player, I read this, I'm like, I can understand it, but as a spectator, I'm like, why? And then so all of these gentleman agreement rules are not rules that are going to be built into the game during ranked play. As far as we know right now, when you play ranked play, when you play the competitive settings, you can use all of these things because they're only gentlemen's agreements.
I can see some gentleman agreements that, you know, change or alter the game, and there's one specific weapon that is overpowered or one specific. I understand. I even partially understand one sniper for S&D, just from the standpoint of like that actually makes the player dynamic more useful instead of just having tons of snipers all over the place. I think that creates a lot. That could create a lot more.
Sick to see like a team just being like, we're gonna style on you, run 4 snipers, and just clog up a lane with sniper. I think that would be sick because in Call of Duty, the snipers are good, but you can't clutch a 1v3. Like you can, but if the other team is playing correctly, clutching a 1v3 is hard. You're putting yourself in a massive disadvantage by running like more than one sniper anyway.
Now the question is for me is within. Let's just speak for NA right now because you mentioned that EU is different. Did the NA players are there representation from a lot of the teams within Call of Duty League that are actually talked and came to this format that they've all agreed to say, yeah, these are good rules, we'll follow them for the time being? Or is this just a handful of players? Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like we talked about it before, even outside of like contractual obligations and financials and how much these players are making, there might be a potential here. Imagine you as the developer, I brought this attention a few weeks ago talking about like Nintendo with Smash Brothers, the fact that the community themselves agreed on this rule set. They were only going to play on these maps. We're going to play no items, like all of these things. They took so much content out of the game that as a developer, Nintendo does not like, they don't agree with. And it sounds almost now, could you imagine going into the next season of the CDL and the players just agree amongst themselves, this is how we're going to play the game. And even though it's not the official rule set, how that potentially could hurt viewership, that could allow the players to get a little more leverage as far as negotiation.
The big difference here between this and Smash Brothers is the developers are 100% cool with the competitive rule sets. They've already made rule sets. They've already banned certain items and certain things from the game that were developed in the game. This is just additional stuff the community's added. My biggest fear is as a player, again, I think this is okay. I think as a player, I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's cool, it's fair. But as a spectator and a knowledgeable spectator, if I were to bring in somebody to the room while I'm watching a Call of Duty, and they play online, they play ranked, and they know what competitive rule sets are, and then they ask me, well, why aren't any of these guys using lasers? That could be a very big problem.
Yeah.
And so you either make these rules official and in the game, or the GAs can potentially hold yourself back from further viewership. But I think in this game particularly, in the last game, some GAs were completely warranted. Like some of the things that were in the last competitive game were crazy. But in this game in particular, there's a few things like lasers, thermals, perk greed, and smokes. Those are all 4 of those things could easily just be okay, and you can use those same things that are GA'd to counteract smokes. You could use perk greed to counteract smokes. You can use perk greed to even counteract gearhead. You can use perk greed. You can use perk greed to counteract thermals. You can use thermals to counteract smokes. You can do all of these things. You can. I just feel like the issue is we're potentially taking away from strategy,
Mhm.
and then we'll throw it there. As a player, I'm fine with it. As a spectator, I'm not.
Just real quick to recap on that, there has been a history of gentlemen's agreements within like the wider scope of esports, specifically like looking at like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 back in the arcade days. A variety. I mean, what was that? There was an MLG event where the League of Legends finals, they literally just both teams decided they were just going to play all mid,
Yeah.
and they ended up getting they ended up getting slapped for that. So I mean, gentlemen's agreements have always been around, and it's kind of up to the community to just kind of balance it. It's unique in this situation because it's like, as a community, they're trying to come together and say, hey, we really want this to be the competitive rule set, and we're going to play by these rules that we all agree on. Whereas the publisher is also working on their own esports division, and it's not some grassroots organization that's just a so. But the next topic that I wanted to discuss is health of esports players. This is something that I don't think a lot of people, especially the general public, don't ever really think about. And specifically what brought this about is there is a professional Fortnite player by the name of Isa that actually plays for Ghost Gaming. He was very well known in Fortnite, plays with a controller, and announced a few days ago that he is officially going to step away from not just Fortnite, but just pro gaming in general. He's talked about making more content with that specific team, but the issue is he has developed very harsh medical conditions within his hand, making it to where he physically cannot play the game. And it's interesting because there have been a lot of like health professionals that have come out before that have talked about, hey, like, as far as like eye strain or posture or carpal tunnel or like just even basic exercises, like wrist stretching and things like that. This is a player who literally was on the verge of, he had made a huge name for himself, signed to a team, was playing professionally. At 19 years old, he has to retire.
Yeah.
Because of these medical issues from playing specifically. So the image that I wanted to bring up here that you can see on the screen is from an organization called Esports Healthcare. There are a plethora of other organizations out there that have free videos, they have free literature that you can download as far as like prolonging gaming sessions and stretches and things specifically to take care of. Even something as simple as drinking water.
Water's big.
Water is huge, hydration, and especially like it's different now from competing at a tournament online from your home, because obviously you feel a lot more comfort, but like especially being out at bigger events, how long, it's literally, these events are marathons.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting slouch or if you're, eye strained from just staring at the screen for so long, it's something that not a lot of people take into consideration. There have been a handful, no pun intended, but there have been a handful of Smash players that seemed that they were forced into early retirement because of hand issues. Specifically, I know Halo players, COD players, anybody that plays on controller, the claw grip. I personally, like, every time I try and do it, it just creates so much strain on my hand. I cannot keep it up. I'm personally like a mouse and keyboard player.
Well, that can cause a lot of strain in your wrist too. I mean, the dangers of like potential hand damage, wrist, elbow, like whether you play mouse and keyboard or controller, is all there. I actually hurt my hands really bad trying to compete in Halo 2, and I was like 12. And I was still using the Duke controller, and I was using the claw grip. Now, if you're a competitive player and you're playing claw, I think you're kind of doing it to yourself, because there's a lot of options with controllers now where you don't have to do that anymore. And even if you're a casual player, there's a lot of cheap options, so you don't have to do that anymore. Whether you play PlayStation or Xbox, I mean, I feel like more people need to speak about stretching your hands, drinking water while you play. I know there's really good eye techniques where you look a further distance away, something like 20 feet away. You stare at 20 feet away, and then you look back at your screen. But like the whole claw grip thing, I mean, melee players are in this very unique spectrum. Melee players are very unique spectrum because they don't have a controller where, I mean, they do have the box now, but they don't have like an actual controller where they have back buttons and stuff adapted to that. They don't have an ergonomic controller. But like if you play Xbox or PlayStation and you're clawing, I think you're kind of, like I said, you're doing it to yourself if you have hand problems. You take care of yourself.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that Scuff, basically built up this entire industry just for, controllers that have paddles on them and actual modifications. We saw Microsoft with the Pro controller, develop those options as well. Battle People for gaming, like there are options out there.
Well, this is a cheap option that I use every day, and it's the Power A controller. It's a $25 controller, has buttons on the back. And then for PlayStation, I know they don't make third party, but PlayStation makes a $20 attachment that you put on the bottom of your controller, and it creates buttons on the back. So there's options that aren't expensive, because I know people look at Scuff and they think it's intimidating because it's a $150 controller. It's not a cheap option. Or you send in your controller, you don't have a controller for 3 weeks. But But yeah, no, there are.
Like even looking
there are cheap
from
controls.
the PC aspect of it, mouse and keyboard. Like we also earlier this week, Doublelift announced that he is retiring again from League of Legends, and there's obviously some wear and tear there from playing as long. But I'm literally getting to the point that I've seen Counter-Strike players and players from League of Legends that have that KT cape that's literally on their arm when they're not, they're physically sitting at their desk, but they're exerting so much stress and so much strain on their muscles, on their ligaments, just from their hand to their elbow, that it's forcing them they're going to have chronic pain for the rest of their life.
Yep.
From having poor habits, and it's terrible to see.
It is. So, water, stretch, take care of your eyes.
Take a break as well. Take a rest every now and then.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Just
kidding.
Don't believe the grind. Anybody that tells you gotta
watch as much as you play, or else you won't learn anything.
There, that's a good. Yeah, I agree with that.
That'll be your break.
Well, we've had a couple of running segments that have seemed to pop up week after week after week. I specifically wanted to bring this one up because I know how enthused Alex is to talk about mobile gaming. Yes, we're talking about the future of esports. We've talked about it on and off. We know that PUBG is investing $100 million into India alone just for mobile gaming. There's so many games out there, so many leagues, not nearly as prevalent within the actual eyes of viewership, unless if you follow YouTube analytics. And basically the discussion is, what is the legitimacy of mobile gaming? Now, I do want to lead in with this. Dr. Disrespect, very famous streaming personality. I almost said Twitch personality, but he's not on Twitch anymore.
Wait, I thought he's not.
Yeah. He sent out a tweet saying, he's like, I've got this $10,000 computer. I've got 3 monitors. I've got a mouse, keyboard, headset. Like, there's no way I'm going to play on my phone. You're absolutely kidding me. If I have this amazing setup, I'm not going to play on my phone. Well, the mobile gaming community did not take well to that. And specifically, iFerg, who is a professional Call of Duty mobile player, has challenged Dr. Disrespect to a $100,000 1v1 match on COD Mobile.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Here are my thoughts. Dr. Disrespect. Okay. This is like, did you watch the Nate Robinson Jake Paul fight? This is the same thing. This is the same thing. This man's been playing Call of Duty Mobile on his phone professionally for how long? And Dr. Disrespect, as a mid to high level professional streamer, is gonna grab a phone and you tell me he's gonna beat this man in a 1v1. One of two things are gonna happen. Dr. Disrespect's gonna plug in controller, or it's just gonna be a bloodbath. But I just don't know what he's thinking.
Let me send you this rebuttal. Dr. Disrespect used to work at Infinity Ward and actually worked
I know.
on the multiplayer. You don't think any of those skills, you don't think any of that transition, you don't think he's even checked out. You don't think he's secretly, when he's not streaming, he's playing mobile games? You don't think that this is possibly a publicity stunt? This is a way to draw in viewership
I mean,
specifically for
it could be a
this could be a
publicity
thing for
stunt, but I don't think Dr. Disrespect plays mobile games.
I can't say that I don't disagree with you, to be honest with you.
I think okay, but if this Call of Duty player loses,
Oh yeah,
if
that's
this
gonna
Call
be
of Duty
hell of a
player loses,
If he's signed
throw
to
your
my
phone out the
org, he
window.
can drop. He's
Throw
gonna
your-
drop immediately.
I'd drop him. I'd drop in a second. I'd pick up Disrespect
Mhm.
just for. No, but I do think it's interesting that there are little beefs going back and forth now. I think mobile gaming is a legitimate form of gaming, and I know why it is so popular. It's because it's so accessible and it's so ready at your fingertips all the time. However, I do feel like I wish it wasn't Dr. Disrespect taking this fight. I wish it was an actual professional Call of Duty player.
Ooh.
I mean, it's facts because I would love to see someone like Simp get on Call of Duty Mobile, just Bluetooth controller it up, and just go crazy and just see what happens. Because Call of Duty is Call of Duty at the end of the day. COD Mobile is a COD game. It feels like Call of Duty. If you've ever used one of those Bluetooth controllers, you're just playing Call of Duty on a smaller screen. It really is. So I would like to have seen the fight from a different person, but I don't feel like a Call of Duty professional might have the funds for that money match. But publicity should be pretty interesting. But
Well, what do you think now that this is the multiple? This is like the third or fourth week in a row that we've had major news specifically revolving around mobile gaming. Do you think that there is a future there? Do you think there is a legitimacy there? Like I have a handful of colleagues that literally work within the esports space, but only in mobile gaming.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies see it as the future as far as not needing to buy a PC or a console or monitors or whatever, literally having the legitimacy
How
of,
much is
okay,
your okay? How much was your phone? If you were to buy
My phone?
buy your phone outright right now, how much would it be?
it would be, I will say it, but let me put it this way. I'm in a little tricky situation. I actually have the Razer phone.
Okay.
So I have a gaming phone. I have a phone
How
intended for
much
gaming.
is your gaming phone?
When it first was released, it was $800. I bought one last year during Cyber Monday for $300 because I couldn't believe the price. And they have completely dropped doing mobile now. They do not. There is no other Razer phone. I actually checked their website this past Monday just to make sure if they did have another sale, because buying another phone as a backup in case this one breaks, damaged, lost, whatever, I'm like, that's a great deal. I'm buying it at a huge discount. They don't even have phones available anymore on the Razer store.
Mike, I'm glad you got your discount. But do you know what else I could buy with $800 with $800?
You could buy a console.
Or a gaming PC. So I'm just saying, this argument, I could go to Walmart, I can get a gaming PC financed cheaper than what I can finance my phone, my current phone at. So what I'm saying is this argument of like money barrier or accessibility, I think is all kind of in our heads. I feel like we see it as in you have to invest now kind of things, or there are options similar to buying a phone. I think the difference is this fits in your pocket, and it,
Look at it then from a barrier of entry standpoint. So I have my phone, right?
Mhm.
Let's say I see Fortnite. Everybody's playing Fortnite. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna check out this Fortnite. I literally download the app on my phone, turn it on, I'm already playing.
unless you
Don't
have an
need to
Apple device.
download. That's unless you have an Apple device.
No, I do see what you're saying, and I get it. It's the accessibility is there, but again, Fortnite's also free on the computer, and when a game like Call of Duty comes around, I mean, what was COD Champs for mobile viewership like compared to COD Champs?
Oh, I mean, we're talking
Astronomical
huge
numbers.
percentages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So you're not watching the same game at that point. Like
Mhm.
you're not watching the same players, not watching the same amount of movement. You're not watching the same game. So I think what this is going to come down to is a mobile game doing it right. I call it a mobile COD. See, a mobile battle royale game, because they're popular, the viewer experience isn't quite there. if it's a game more like League or a game more like Call of Duty or Counter-Strike that does have an easy eye to view barrier, because PUBG and Fortnite, they're hard to watch just because it's slow,
Right.
slow, slow, fast. But when you see League of Legends, you know what's going on. You see the whole board. When you see Call of Duty, there's a gunfight every second in Call of Duty. I think the big difference here is going to be what mobile game has the best watchability and also has the viewership to back it up. Those are going to be the two things that mobile game needs to be a legitimate contender in the space. I do think they're legitimate games, but that's it.
I think the interesting point that you brought up there is that, like, for me, when personally, like, when I think of mobile gaming, I think of like Hearthstone. Hearthstone is a perfect game that you can play mobile. I personally, I normally play it on PC, but that's an easy game because it's, from a spectator standpoint, it's easy to follow, it's easy to understand, and it's its own entity. Like, look at like Clash Royale.
Right.
Games like Clash Royale that were developed.
I like watching Clash, actually.
Yeah, that were developed for mobile. That literally is like, okay, this is not us trying to replicate. This is not us trying to take a first-person shooter or a MOBA that you normally see on PC and trying to replicate it on a mobile experience. I actually worked the last preseason for Vainglory, which was pretty much just like League of Legends for mobile. And I worked that preseason, and I had so much more respect seeing things behind the scenes as far as how they actually operated it in the game itself. I actually downloaded it and was playing it for a little bit myself. But like, yeah, I look at like a Clash Royale or a Brawl Stars or something where it's a mobile gaming developer that 100% creates their own IP. They're not trying to replicate anything else that's out there or on a console or PC. That, I think, has a huge future for it. And I think there's a huge player base. Obviously, it's just converting them into not just watching the tournaments, but also participating more in online tournaments themselves. So I think to put the bow on this, I think that there is a lot of legitimacy within mobile gaming. It just gets a bad rap because it's not on the same level necessarily as PC or console gaming. But I think that there's just going to be one game. Jump change. Well, yeah, that's we're not even going to talk about prize pods in mobile gaming.
Yeah,
but there's going to be one breakout game that I'm sure will hit, and everybody, like something like a Pokemon Go, where it's literally a global phenomenon that sticks around for many, many, many years to come, and it's not just a flash in the pan. That is what is going to break through and help mobile gaming break this kind of like plateau they're on.
I agree. Hope Dr. Disrespects wins that 1v1.
I hope so too. I hope what they do is they take the $100,000 and they donate it to charity. So it's something that actually has like a little bit of a purpose behind it. But the other thing too is like
I hope that goes straight into his pocket.
Oh. That's okay.
Your round's good too. Your round's good too.
He buys another Lamborghini with it. That's a down payment. Like, I got a solid gold Lambo. Thanks, God Mobile.
Okay, I have an event that I am watching this weekend. That's not your event. A couple of changes have happened, team-wise, in the Halo world. So we're going to move segments to upcoming events. This weekend, I'm going to be watching the HCS Pro Series event on Saturday. It's going to be happening all day on Saturday, twitch.tv/Halo, or if you go to HCS on YouTube, it should be streaming there as well. Basically, I'm just going to be watching this all weekend. I know Sentinels has made a change because Neptune will be playing Call of Duty, so their substitute of Neptune for Snakebite is no longer there. So I'm curious to see who they pick up. It's probably going to be, I don't even want to say it. I can see Snakebite just coming back.
Yeah,
I would like to see it. I would like to see Snakebite just come back, not practice, and just win. I think that'd be sick. But yeah, no, this will be the event that I'll be watching this weekend, just because I'm curious to see with some of these team changes, and I know Renegades playing Halo. I'm not Halo, Call of Duty. You're seeing, I think you're finally starting to see, because Challengers League is starting up here pretty soon. You're going to see some of these players taking an exit from Halo for the time being. Yep. And dabbling in some Call of Duty. So I want to see who's left, and then I want to see who wins from who's left. I think the skill
Which title are they playing in? Are they sticking with
5.
H3? Oh, they're playing Halo 5. Okay.
Yeah. The Pro Series right now is Halo. They have a Halo 3 series and a 5 series currently going.
Gotcha.
Yes. But yeah.
Well, it should be neat, and like you were saying too, like obviously, like anything that they can do hype wise to kind of keep the community active leading into Halo Infinite is obviously worthwhile. But then also too, like seeing a lot of players that maybe will transition into Call of Duty once their season kind of gets up and running. We'll just see how things shake out. Like usually anymore, specifically with HCS, it's kind of easy to see. You're like, you kind of can predict like, okay, these are probably going to be top 3 just looking at the teams. But there's always going to be shake-up. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not so much now with players like Renegade and Neptune. And we got to remember, Renegade, I believe, signed to C9 for Halo Infinite. So Renegade, I mean, depending on how well they perform, I can see a world where Renegade doesn't come back to Halo. And players like Renegade and Neptune, those two, I mean, Neptune's going to be playing with Parasite, and already placed well at a tournament with Parasite, and it was his first really big event. So, in COD. So I think you're going to see some, especially with Shotzi coming from Halo, first year Call of Duty, ends up being the MVP, winning the world championship. I think you're going to see this next generation of Halo players making the switch to COD, and I think you're going to see COD players taking a risk because you've had Formal, Crim6, you've had Enable, which just retired, but you've now had these couple of Halo players come over, and if they can come over and really start making waves. So
yeah, absolutely. We see it there. It's maybe a 3-year cycle where you see the landscape for FPS console games really get shooken up as far as teams, that obviously the money is going to be more for Call of Duty as it currently sits right now. We know that Halo Infinite is going to have an esports scene, but we don't really know any of the tangibles or even what the game really looks like. You do see a lot of shakeup to where there's a lot of crossover with both of those titles. So
I could see the first year of Infinite being similar to probably 2017 or 2018 for Halo 5. Like you have your like $1 million, almost $2 million tournament, and then you have like your $300,000 tournament sprinkled in throughout the season.
Yeah,
that's what I'm expecting. But let's get on to your event.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that we have news on the next Mortal Kombat 11 Pro competition. A lot of surprises here. First and foremost, obviously with the pandemic, the finals of last year's Pro competition, basically the professional Mortal Kombat circuit, it was one of the last in-person events that took place right before the pandemic really hit hard. So back around March, I remember there was supposed to be a ton of players that all traveled to Chicago. There was going to be a last chance tournament. There was going to be tons of spectators. Literally, they had to start limiting the number of people that were actually in the venue. They did have a crowd. There was an audience there for the finals, but it was obviously that was the first time that like steps and procedures had to been taken.
Yeah.
So NetherRealm, not hesitating whatsoever. The actual first matches for this pro competition are actually taking place December 5th, and they already have the roadmap. These events are running in different regions around the world all the way up until June of 2021, and that is when they will have the finals. We'll get more information along the road as things go. But the other aspect with that as well is that this year it is actually sponsored by PlayStation 4. We know that I was actually just in the store a few days ago, and I happened to go into the gaming section, and I saw that Mortal Kombat 11 was actually released on the PlayStation 5. So it's interesting to see Sony themselves wanting to sponsor this event, but on behalf of PlayStation 4, not PlayStation 5. I think that comes down to the logistics of... What is that?
I think that will probably switch over. Wait. Ooh.
If they switch mid-season, that might be weird. I think that Sony recognizes that there is a drought for PlayStation 5s right now. Yeah. They obviously want as many people to get online as play, but also too, like specifically like with controllers, switching controllers every new console generation, specifically for professional players, they usually have some kind of like adapter or conversion method where it's like, oh, well, I
Right.
play with this controller, I don't want to play with that one. Not just that, but think of like all the players that have their fight sticks or hitboxes or whatever it may be. Who knows what the new console is supporting? Technically, the PlayStation 5, a couple of players have already like messed around with it and seen that there is like legacy controllers. Basically, like there's a driver inside the game that allows you to use older controllers, but
you can't right now, right?
right, well, PlayStation, I think you can, as far as using those the legacy peripherals. I believe that you can, but it seems interesting that Sony isn't even wanting to take the chance, especially for online play. They want players to have the same experience that they've had competing in the previous season as they are now. Obviously, we're in a transitional period, and again, like a lot of these players can't get a hold of a PlayStation 5. They just can't
Yeah.
purchase one. How are they going to compete if you can't even get the console to play?
Okay, I think Sony shot themselves in the foot. I think it should have been presented by PlayStation, period, whether it was PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. And I think what they do, I think they don't swap consoles mid-season. I think they should have just,
Yeah.
I think just labeling it as PS4 almost makes it look like a past event. Like when I'm looking at this flyer, I'm like, does this event already happen? It's just kind of confusing from a marketing standpoint. But I'm totally cool with them playing the rest this season out on the PS4 and like enjoying it on the peripherals that we already have. Everybody already has fight sticks for. They couldn't they have done it on PC as well as a Mortal Kombat on the PC?
It is on PC, but I believe that this is actually a plan by Sony themselves to keep the game reined in. Sony has really established themselves within the fighting game community. If you look at the exclusivity for Street Fighter V as well, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I wouldn't know if I didn't have to set up 500 PlayStations every time we go to a fighting game event. No, they definitely do have the lockdown on the market for fighting game community, and it is cool to see them still supporting it. But I know Sony still sponsors the COD events, even though they're playing on PC. So that's why I kind of brought that up. Because and it's the same company, so it's not out of the realm of possibility for a company like Sony to do that, since it's something they're doing already. I would just be curious to talk to somebody from Sony and just figure out what their thinking was as far as like this is like their marketing plan. Because like I said, it does with that branding, it just does look like an old event.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll specifically see them switch mid-season. I think that personally, like if I was sitting across from the executive at Sony, I would tell them specifically, don't change over consoles mid-season.
Yeah, no.
But maybe this is also part of their plan, is that, hey, let's squeeze out one more season for PlayStation 4 while we can, and then talk in the future about what else we can do. It's interesting that they released Mortal Kombat 11 on PlayStation 5. I think that might be more for the general audience and not so much the esports plan going forward. So I'm not sure how it'll work out.
And they'll probably advertise the crap out of PlayStation 5 while they're doing these events. And they'll probably advertise that Mortal Kombat is on the new PlayStation, and towards the end of the series, they'll probably be like, hey, get your PlayStation 5, because next time we do this, they're going to be on the floor.
Well, the other thing too is this could be their marketing plan. Is we know that within everybody talks about it's the NRS cycle. Mm-hmm. So basically, by the time that the new game is announced, it's already been worked on during the last iteration of the game. It's usually a 1-year cycle.
Yep.
So probably the next iteration of Mortal Kombat or Injustice, whatever their next game may be, they've been alternating year on and year off. It's already ready for the PlayStation 5. And towards the end of this season, or maybe even mid-season, they'll announce, hey, this game is coming out. And then as this season ends for Mortal Kombat 11, then they transition over to the new game on PlayStation 5. So
I think that will be the right way to do it.
Yeah.
I think you are correct, Mundo. But that is it for all of our topics and everything. We have a couple people in the chat. I do want to answer some questions that I did see earlier. We do have an email that's being processed by Twitch. Still. I don't know why it's taking them so long. I double checked on it today to make sure it was live, but it is the first one's a Halo reference. What?
When did you submit the emote? How long ago?
A week and a half ago.
Okay, remember that they had GlitchCon going on,
That's true.
and I would imagine that was pretty much all hands on deck for Twitch. I know that
Okay.
personally, like emails that I've sent back and forth with other projects I'm working on with Twitch representatives, they were for a week and a half non-responsive.
Okay, so
Just
maybe
'cause the
maybe by next week we'll have it.
Yeah.
But our first one's going to be a Halo reference, and you'll know exactly what it is when you see it. And then Phantom, we answered your question. What do with peripherals too? Do they work on PS5? So it seems there be some software.
Yeah, from the last I heard, so the interesting thing is that the PlayStation 4 itself, the developers for fighting games specifically were able to put in these legacy drivers so that PlayStation 3 peripherals could work specifically with their game. The last that I heard, the PlayStation 4, the DualShock controller actually won't work on the PlayStation 5, but it's still being tested right now. I know that like Alex Valle and the crew out of Wednesday Night Fights, as soon as they got their hands on a PlayStation 4, that's one of the things they tested. Obviously that's a huge, that's a disaster for us. Like I know with the PlayStation 4, it took the community such a long time to realize about the method of actually desyncing the controller and how that works. I know that there are better desyncing options now with the PlayStation 5 that I've seen, but it's all just work in progress. And the fact that people aren't having regular locals now, I would say if you could get a group of 10 people together and you're playing on the PlayStation 5, that would be a much better stress test than what we're seeing right now. Everything is just hypothetical as we see it.
Yeah, it should be interesting to go back to big events to set up our first few PS5s and being like, okay, well, someone has their controller on, and we gotta go through this whole menu.
I personally I have a Quamba fight stick that was actually intended for the PlayStation 4, but I have a multi-board that's been modded into it, so it works with Xbox 360, it works with Xbox One, works with PC, PS4, PS3, and Nintendo Switch. That was something I personally did just to ensure that the longevity and being able to play multiple games. But now with the new iteration of these consoles out, I don't even know if that board's even going to work.
Yeah.
With
There'll
the newer
probably be an
consoles.
adapter. There usually is an adapter.
Yeah, but the community is usually up in arms with that as well. Like using it's usually like it looks like a flash drive. It's a USB stick that you plug into, or and then you plug your peripheral into that. There could be some input lag. There could be some latency. That again, it's like player preference and testing.
The COD community dealt with that because there were so many people at these COD lands that they couldn't use Bluetooth on the controllers because it would mess up. It would sometimes sync up to a different PlayStation on accident. And I never really saw the fighting community have an issue with that though. I wonder if it was a game. It was a game issue.
So the rule specifically within the fighting game community is that you had to actually use a cord to plug in the controller. Once it synced to Bluetooth, they would unplug it instead of just trying to natively connect over Bluetooth through wireless. So I'm not sure within the community.
Maybe but every station at big lands for COD for a while was using Acronis.
Yeah.
So, but there was issues with some players thinking that they had a bad one, or playing Noise that they had a good one. They would take it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "This is my Cronus. No one else's."
Well, I'll go and give everybody in chat a chance if they have any other questions or topics they want us to cover. Go ahead and shoot those in the chat, and we'll answer those. I wanted to shoot another question your way, Mr. Refresh, and get your inputs. Did you at all follow or watch from a few weeks back the esports awards and all of the winners and awards that were given out that night?
All I know is Shotzi won Console Rookie of the Year.
How? Shotzi, who has been playing Halo professionally since 2017.
He's a console rookie, though.
Okay. I understand that he's a rookie for the Call of Duty League, but he is not a console.
It blew my mind. Rookie. It blew my mind they considered him as a console rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not. He's been absolutely insane in console for the last 5 years. And
I think the thing about his story too is that he was just too young to compete professionally, even going as far back as like his Halo profession, like his Halo career, to where I just feel like there was just this disconnect, like as far as like I saw that and I lost it, but at the same time, that's also within like a very specialized area that I
Yeah.
work in. So I'm like, I saw that and I'm
I
like,
mean, if they considered it per game, which they probably did, it was probably
mhm.
labeled as a Call of Duty award giving out. Then it makes sense because as far as like a rookie into a season into a game, he should 100% win that title. But I think just labeling it console rookie of the year kind of created a lot of confusion. And I knew something like this was going to happen because I remember a couple weeks ago someone with a beard and some glasses smiling in the camera right now sent me some screenshots of the of their nominees, and the pictures and the names just didn't match,
Did
and
not match.
some 65-year-old that barely knows how to work Photoshop didn't read or didn't Google. Dude, if I had that job, do you know what I would do? I would get the
You would
list.
Google every
I would
player.
Google every single player, how to
Mhm.
spell it, what they like, just to see that how they look like. You said that, and because they tweeted it, and it was multiple.
Yeah,
It was multiple.
it was multiple tweets throughout their account because yeah, they were showing like they had it was basically an infographic. It's like here's the category, whatever it was, esports personality of the year or whatever it was, and then they have like the photos of everyone and then their names and their organization they work for below them, and there were multiple that were wrong.
Yeah, seeing Crim 6 as like a skinny League of Legends player was the funniest thing. Because I read Crim 6 and I looked up and I was like, wow, Crim 6 loses a lot of weight?
Mhm.
He's looking pretty good. I was like, dang, Crim 6 needs to eat a little bit more. It was
Yeah,
rough,
I
dude.
don't, especially in an industry that the esports communities respectively and in themselves are brutal. But for somebody that's like personally for me, somebody that follows multiple scenes, that follows multiple games, multiple organizations, like to see something like this happen, I just like I feel terrible, and I want to err on the side of like, okay, well, this person was pumping out graphics, they're leading into the show, everybody's working remote, mistakes happen, but for multiple mistakes that I see is like those are big
Well,
mistakes.
on one sheet, it was like, on one image, it was like 5 mistakes, and the next one, it was like 2. I think it's just someone that got a list and some pictures, and they were like, I think this is, I hope it's in order. And they just kind of threw it together because it's the graphics look good, but I don't feel like they were complicated.
No,
No.
no, it hurt.
Okay.
In my opinion, it hurt the legitimacy. It
Yeah.
hurt the legitimacy.
Because I saw, I was like, I ain't watching this. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even know. They don't even know. I don't even know what Crim 6 looks like. I did think there was some comedy in it though. Just seeing like these players' names and just me being super confused on that. It's like they did it on It almost looked like they did it on purpose. It's like, all right, what does this player look like? What's the complete opposite look of
It's like
this player? And that's who they put in that picture, and it was wild to see.
the only other thing I'll really say about the esports awards this year is that there was a Rocket League had a lot of representation, which was neat to see.
Yeah,
That is a game and
that's a
that is a
very
community.
passionate community.
Yes. And so it was good to see them getting a lot of nominations, and hopefully, obviously their switch over the purchase from Epic Games will only do even better. I know that a lot of high school and even collegiate organizations were doing a lot more with Rocket League. I think that game has huge potential to do even bigger viewership, bigger stats, bigger
Yeah.
everything.
Do you want to know? Okay, we're gonna end it on this. There was a possible controversy with the esports award in that they blacklisted any awards potentially given out to the Huntsmen for Call of
No, I didn't
Duty
know that.
because they didn't want them involved, because every single year that Optic Gaming or the Huntsman's involved in esports award and it's fan voted,
Oh yeah, they always win.
they always win.
Yeah,
So this year they made it non-fan voting, and they're like, "We're just gonna keep you out. We're
yeah,
just gonna keep you out." So that
yeah.
is something that is being talked about, which I think is super interesting. I just thought it was funny. I was reading that and I was like, I was like, because usually that organization is like, that's on there. But I do know one did slip through, and that was Hex won Esports Podcast of the Year with the Eavesdrop.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, which was very, very justifiable. I do feel like his podcast brings on a lot of unique guests and talks about a lot of different business aspects of esports, whether it's from a player's perspective, from a YouTuber's perspective, or from a business mind. And I do think that is something that we need more content for.
Yeah, the other interesting thing I will say just real quick, we'll save this more maybe for a topic for next week, but Forbes 30 under 30, they have been doing a lot more with gaming. They have their own gaming specific portion of Forbes 30 under 30. It got announced earlier, I believe it was earlier today actually, and there's a lot of talking within the respective communities about how these people are picked, who are the judges that are on this board. Interesting to see that there are certain people within, circles of the industry that happen to keep winning and helping each other out. So, maybe, legitimacy of, I love seeing the award shows and I love seeing,
Yeah.
I think there are definitely community members and communities themselves which deserve to get, some kind of recognition. But are we starting to kind of tailor more off to things being off kiltered because of personal friendships or working relationships or
yes,
sponsors or whatever it may be? Yeah,
I think if an award show is hosted or is given out, I think it should be per game. I don't think it should be as a collective and as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of muddies the water. I think because like your NFL has their own award show, the NBA has their own award show. I think it's just kind of more fitting to where if you have, I would say like a tier 1, maybe tier 2 esport, you kind of maybe you have a committee that hosts award shows. Business idea. Business idea. This is a business idea, and anybody can take it because I ain't gonna do it. What you do is you start an award show committee for esports, and you approach different esports communities. Say, hey, look, we wanted to host your award show. We want to acknowledge the players and the people in your community. We want to acknowledge them so everybody can get together and celebrate it. I think that would be better. You have like 5 or 6 out the year, but you have to meet certain requirements to become a tier 1 or tier 2 esport to be able to have your award show. I mean, let's be real. Melee's probably not getting an award show. We'll probably just host one ourselves. It's Summit. Summit's our award show.
I mean, SmashCon has done their own awards.
Oh, yeah, SmashCon. SmashCon has it. Yeah. So Smash already does it. Small communities like that can do it themselves. But I think for like these giant esports like CS, League of Legends, Dota, you can probably call Halo and start putting Call of Duty up there. And then Rocket League, of course. I think you create a committee, and you do award shows based off of that are non-biased. It's a separate entity, not hosted by the esport. It's like, this is our award show. This is who we want. This is who we think. And the fans vote. You just go. Or you go based off of stats.
Yeah, I think based off of, I don't think that, I think there should be fan voting elements. There should be fan voting categories. And that's very understood because like you said, like the thing with like Optic themselves, like to put somebody that's like a League of Legends player with that player base and that fandom against somebody that's like, a fighting game. Yeah. They're not gonna get the same votes. They're not gonna get the same attention just because of social media following or whatever it may be. But like, for instance, like if Game Awards were to like go specifically to the CDL and be like, hey, we want to include 2 categories for Call of Duty League. We want you guys to submit who you think should be nominated. And then we as a committee will review and then give out the awards, and then do the same thing with.
Do you know what category I would make? Right off the bat, I'd put Hoodie of the Year. And Envious.
Well, obviously, Envy's got to win.
Envious or Dallas is going to be up there every single time.
Man.
And they don't make hoodies or not. I'm making Hoodie of the Year award.
That'd be like doing the esports organization tweet of the year and putting CDL's France team, putting Paris on there. Yeah.
Tweet of the year is just a blank page.
Ridiculous.
Just a black screen. All right, we're gonna go ahead and call that there, but you know what that means.
Time to wrap it up.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull my mic up to my face. Start to fade in this music. It has been a beautiful Tuesday night here at the LFTG Podcast. We want to thank everybody for stopping by, throwing some words up in the chat. I can't read very well. I'm glad Mike's here so he can read and tell me what the chat says. I just want to take this moment and thank the esports community and the esports awards for all the hard work they did on their graphics this year. I think they looked fantastic. Good job. No way you could do better. No way you could do better next year. But
we need to do an award show where all the graphics are MS Paint.
Just wrong. Just
we need to do that.
Stick figure drawings of like
LFTG end of the year esports awards. All the graphics are Paint.
We'll do episode 50. Every 50.
There you go.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and call it. I was your host, Refresh, and
Mohawkmike.
yeah, every time.
That's me.
I'm gonna surprise him. I'm gonna surprise him with him saying his own name. We may have a guest next week. Follow us on Twitter. Find out. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
See ya. Bye. Peace. Get out of here, you crazy. Get out. Get.